Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you here. Today we have a 4v4 massive battle here, and it is a Empire versus Greenskins matchup. And we can see over here there is a massive Vanguard deployed Night Goblin force that is going to be rushing this Empire player over here, but we will start with kind of the army comps. Karl Franz, you can see, is leading this army with some swordsmen, a Jade Wizard, some Emperor's Bodyguard, which is a very elite unit, polearm unit, some Halberds, the Sunmaker, some more Halberds, some Nuln Ironsides, which have those repeater rifles so they can shoot really, really fast, and they're going to be opening fire, and they have decent melee stats. You can see this army is led by Volkmar and a huge Flagellant Corps with some Sigmarite Disciples, the Tattersouls, and a Celestial Wizard. And again, he has the Sunmaker, so we got two of those firing off here. This is my army. I do have 3 swordsmen as a core with Sigmarite Disciples, 2 Free Company Militia being protected by Halberds, and a reserve swordsman. Over here, Boris Todbringer does lead Minenland. Oh, I forgot that I do have Balthazar Gelt with his co-captain buddy. And I'm going to just be scouting around looking for any goblins around here and maybe dropping some hounds. Over on this side, you can see I do have the Sigmar Sons and the Tattersouls kind of reinforcing this Minenland player, and he does have Boris Todbringer, 2 Spearmen with shields, I believe just maybe the 1 unit of Huntsmen, Celestial Wizard, and then he has a huge cavalry force of 3 Knights Panther. So that's why I kind of committed some of my unbreakable troops over here, just to make sure that this line kind of held and gave him an anvil for these Knights Panther over here to then crash onto. So that's all. We got all of our legendary lords. Over here you can see we do have this Night Goblin force coming up. Some spells are going to be dropped over here as these guys engage, and you can see just a ton of Night Goblins, some nasty Skulkers, a huge blob of archers over here. In the back, 3 units of a Squig Herd, 1 unit of Goblins, 3 Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, and then Skarsnik over here with Gobla. Azag's leading this middle army with some Black Orcs, some Savage Orc Boy Biggins, who are the anti-large. You can see some Goblins already routing there from the Sunmaker. Some Orc Biggins here in the back for some armor piercing and just tough hitting power. Over here you can see Warzag is leading a Savage Orc army, and they're being hounded by Gehenna's Golden Hounds here. You can see doing a decent amount of damage, but they are kind of spread out. Some Savage Orc Biggins in the back, Boy Biggins, and then a whole line of just Savage Orcs. Luckily my ally is shooting the Sunmaker in here, choosing good targets. Over here some more Black Orcs with an Orc Shaman. And then Grimgor Ironhide is leading this charge with just a butt ton of Orc Boys and some Goblin Archers in the back. So that was a ton of army comps, and we'll just hop over here and get started. Oh man, look at that frame! Those frame rates. Lightning came through here. Cast from that Celestial Wizard, hit his own Swordman, which is probably not the best, but Earthblood being dropped to counteract that. Yeah, that is not very watchable on play. But the Emperor's Bodyguard are coming over here to kind of help protect against this side charging of nasty Skulkers. So they're going to be getting in there pretty soon, and you can see they are getting a decently nice attack here into the side of the Halberdiers. Oh, Karl Franz just tossing this guy up in the air. Oh, that poor goblin. And so you can see there, they are being thrown just by the wind of his wings. And you can see Azag's coming over here as well, dropping a Spirit Leech on him, so that is good. He does not have healing except for the Jade Wizard, so nice to see that kind of focus fire from Azag. Now these nasty Skulkers are getting in here. Not the best fight for the Emperor's Bodyguard, just because these guys do have armor piercing, but their melee attack is so low compared to these guys' melee defense that they'll still slaughter these guys almost to the man, because this is almost a 2,000 gold unit. But you can see these swordsmen are kind of crashing through the middle. They are using debuffs here: Soul Blight, Curse of the Midnight Wind, all kind of, or Soul Blight on the Empire, but Curse of the Midnight Wind over here, dropping these guys melee attack to 0, so they are not going to be hitting anything anytime soon. And you can see some Huntsmen have turned and are counter-firing. Nolan's Ironsides look like they have driven off these Night Goblins with the Halberdiers' help, and you can see Volkmar the Grim is coming over here. And this is not something I quite recommend in multiplayer battles, deploying up away from the rest of your army, unless you're getting a ton of support. So this guy is going to kind of be a little bit isolated as the rest of these armies charge in. You can see they're taking considerable damage from our Sunmakers. You can see my Empire Captain coming over here to try and deal with these sneaky Goblin Wolf Riders that are coming in the back. I didn't know if my Empire ally saw that, and I knew I wasn't going to need him for a little while, so I have just kept Belstar Gelt with my own army, and I've kind of pushed up these unbreakable units, trying really hard to make sure that these guys survive. So I've kind of spread them out, put them in a kind of direction where it will be hard to surround them and slaughter them and then move on. They'll kind of be off center, and their lines will be a little bit wrong. So you can see over there, he did send some Knights Panther to damage those guys. Luckily, the Greenskin player wasn't microing too much, so they did get a little bit of damage, but they will definitely outrun the Knights Panther here. But you can see these two coming around, and you can see my Sigmar Sons getting ready, and I did drop another Golden Hounds here. So just anything I can do to kind of damage this line. And I brought Searing Doom, Gehenna's Golden Hounds, and Plague of Rust. So I'll be trying to drop those as much as possible, just because I don't have I have a ton of mana, especially with Arcane Conduit and Volan's Staff. So I'm gonna be needing to cast a lot of spells, and I don't think I even spend all my mana in this battle. But you can see the front lines have engaged. They've taken a good decent amount of damage. And look at this Free Company Militia fire right here. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted him to kind of blob around my troops so that my Free Company could open fire. Over here, these halberds are kind of getting in my way, so what I need to do is push up around here and shoot into the side. And I do that eventually. And you can see here, very strange formation from the Greenskins, and you can see the Flagellants blobbing. Over here, you can see a lot of the Night Goblins are routing from this, but the Squigs have kind of gotten in the back. They're going in against the Emperor's Bodyguard, so they probably will pay for themselves against that, just because those charge bonuses. They do have charge defense against Aldo, but you can see here 2 Griffins are going to come over here and just slaughter Azag the Slaughterer. And you can see the Hellstorm Rocket Battery has turned and started just annihilating these Night Goblin archers. Because they're kind of staggered like this on top of each other, the Sunmaker is just going to hit all of them and slaughter all of them. Over here, you can see there is a bit of a gap in the line. These Nolan Ironsides aren't going to get charged here by these Savage Orc Biggins. Luckily, these guys have armor, and these guys don't have a ton of anti-armor piercing damage, so they won't take too much damage on this charge here, and I don't even think they were the target of this charge, but they definitely need to be eliminated. And you can see these Flagellants blobbing in here against the Savage Orcs, and especially when there's I feel like there's more Flagellants here than Greenskins, so this is going pretty well. You can see over here I'm getting some shots in. I did get a Searing Doom. I'm just trying my best to damage all of these guys without hurting my own stuff. And you can see my Sigmar Sons here holding up a ton of cash, and my Tattersouls over here will hold these guys off for a long time. Over here you can see Knights Panther in battle with some of these Savage Orc Biggins. I don't know who will win that, but it looks like the Knights Panther got the charge and the Savage Orcs didn't. And over here you can see these guys are going to get into these archers and make it a lot easier for me, especially because he's dealt with essentially all the archers. Here, a nice Foot of Gore coming down on my swordsman, so that it's going to do a decent amount of damage. I did manage to pull my Sigmarite Disciples out and away, but since my swordsmen were engaged, I wasn't able to stop them. So you can see over there, I did finally rout those guys off with the help of some polearms, so I'm pulling them back, and you can see my Free Company Militia marching around to get those nice flanking shots, and you can see these Flagellants just doing a great job holding up all of these targets. I definitely probably should have focused some Searing Dooms over here, but I was really just kind of focused on my own line because I saw it was slightly cracking, and that's why I have a reserve, so I'm going to be bringing these reserve swordsmen in, and I'm going to be bringing these Sigmar's Disciples back to keep that buff on all 3 of my units. But over here, Huntsman getting some nice shots in. Let's go see what's happening on the other side of the battlefield. You can see these Tattersalls again just holding up. These Nuln Ironsides have been taken offline, at least for a little while. But you can see he is bringing some of these Sigmarite Disciples over here to help. Looks like a Banishment is going to be dropped here, and so if that timing can be correct, that would be just fantastic. No way it can hit your own troops. And you can see here, routing off these archers. Skarsnik still alive. Looks like he managed to dodge out of the way. Or I guess that was Azag over here, so he's over there. Would love to kind of see him help his buddy over here, because he does do a lot of armor-piercing damage, and he does have poison, unlike Azag here, who did not bring his spider banner. You can see these Squig Hoppers are losing to these Emperor's Bodyguard, which I was surprised about. He's being buffed by Flesh to Stone, though, so it's going to make it even harder for these guys to do the damage they need to do, especially when the Curse of the Midnight Wind is kind of debuffing these guys to 0 melee attack and defense. So nice targeting there, right in the middle, hitting all 5 Squig units. Over here you can see these guys did pull out, didn't want anything to do with those Halberdiers, and they're going to go straight into these Huntsmen. Looks like that Lightning Storm, not Banishment, did miss, so good management there. And you can see these Orc Biggins left behind in the beginning of the battle are going to be coming in for reserves. So it really is just if we can hold out long enough to proc a lot of our kind of ranged troops and our artillery. And our artillery has been doing a number. You can see just more and more Searing Dooms coming down here, trying to break this formation. And so we can watch as these guys get slowly just like torn apart by the essentially volcano above their head. Won't do too much damage, but it is like kind of a 5 mana cast spell. So it's really just doing damage to models that my swordsmen can then kill later when they push up to the main line. Here you can see my reserves coming in, just trying to bolster this. And you can see I've got a nice pincer here. Balthazar Gelt waiting in the wings, as it is, as it could be said, and the captain coming in here. We're going to try and sandwich Warzak, and he doesn't have too much armor. Oh, 58. So, but I am going to be casting Plague of Rust on him, and you can see these as these guys fire into the sides, definitely doing some good work. These swordsmen would lose without support, and so here you can see I do get 2 very nice charges off on Warzak, not doing too much damage, just because neither of these guys are really powerhouses, but they'll eventually wear him down. And you can see Balthazar is kind of casting. Over here I think I'm casting some Searing Dooms. You can see the Celestial Wizard, or this might be a Comet. I wonder if this is a Comet. Well, you can see here, this is why I love Free Company Militia. They're just so cheap, but so effective at just doing stuff like this. And really just pretty independent, because they can, on guard mode, they can take on most things. Oh, so here you can see it is a Comet, and we'll kind of watch it come down here. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. So here it is. This Comet coming down. Just a ton of these guys. This is definitely why you do not want to blob up. Oh man, look at that damage. Almost 2 Orc Boy units completely taken out just from one Comet. Magic in this game is just devastating. So that is definitely going to help switch this battle in the Flagellant's favor, and you can see he is bringing reinforcements in. Here we go, being cast over here, and you can see Warzak slowly being taken down. I'm lucky that he didn't bring this Orc Shaman in to kind of do some extra damage. And you can see these Knights Panthers still trying to deal with these things, but slowly kind of churning their way through, and you can see some Black Orcs are coming over, and that Cab definitely does not want to stay in that fight with the Black Orcs, just because they are scary, and they have very high melee attack and very high weapon strength. Over here you can see he does do a great move, sneaks some Black Orcs over here, trying to break this unbreakable flank, but I'm going to be bringing my Free Company Militia over and around, and they're going to be starting to take some pot shots. He's going to be bringing them back in against my free company. So basically using these guys to not allow him to get that surround there on the Sigmar Suns, which is a very important unit, because you can see my front is not doing very well. I really need to take out Wurzag if I want to turn this in my favor. You can see again more Searing Dooms coming down. Nice banishment there. Oh man, just these guys were healthy a moment ago. Sucking these guys up, and that is definitely a benefit of these flagellant units. If you have a banishment, they can, when they're low health, you just drop an AoE on them, and you can take out a lot of your enemies that way. But you can see goblins routing. Black orcs are not going to have a fun time against Tattered Souls in this mod. They're actually mostly armor piercing, and they just have so many models. It's going to be really hard for the black orcs to cut through them. Over here you can see Volkmar. Good job getting him into kind of these armor piercing troops. He's going to really help turn this into the Halberdiers' favor. You can see that Sunmaker still firing. Let's see, 469 kills. So definitely racking up a ton of kills. And you can see Boris over here dealing with the Squig Herd are running. Did we watch Azag die? Where's Azag? Is Azag gone? Squig Herd running down some of these guys. Knights Panther still in those back lines protecting us, thank God. And you can see Skarsnik finally in the combat over here. And oh, there's Azag, still pretty healthy, managed to keep away, but is going after, it looks like, potentially these Nolan Ironsides, who can dish a lot of damage on this guy. I don't think he has scaly skin, so he doesn't have that. Oh, he has a 25% missile resistance, so pretty good. Oh man, you can see that Foot of Gork coming over here. Looks like just missing a lot of these troops, but sending a good number of them flying. And you can see over here, I did give up on chasing Wurzag because he kind of went into his own group, but I've decided I need to take out this Orc Shaman anyways, so why not do it here? You can see these Free Company Militia are going to be firing into the sides of this guy, supporting this engagement and killing off some of these Savage Orcs. And then he'll be switching over here to this Orc Shaman, which is really good for me. And you can see here getting some nice rear shots into these Black Orcs with these Free Company Militia. So I will take that all day. And you can see Grimgore over here stuck on these Spearmen. This is definitely where you want Grimgore to be fighting. And you can see these guys lasted so long because he's dropping that harmonic conversions on it, which gives it 75 armor total and 79 melee defense. So they are just going to be incredible. As you can see, he did let his Knights Panther get caught here by these Black Orcs, and they are taking a ton of damage. And you can see over here that these Savage Orc Boar Boy Biggins are slowly losing to these Knights Panther, just because this is, let's compare their stats. Yeah, just their melee defense is so much higher for the Knights Panther. The Knights Panther are a considerably more expensive unit, though. Let's hop over here to back to the Night Goblins. You can see it's going pretty well. Sunmaker up to 543, but you can see Azag is finally getting surrounded. Halberdiers with Grand Hammer of Sigmar, so they're going to have just a ton of melee attack. And you can see Azag there almost immediately routes. But you can see these goblins keep coming back, so there's definitely a benefit of those guys. And you can see these regrouped Goblin Wolf Riders are going to get in here and just slaughter this poor crew. You can see how quickly here this guy has died with the support of the Free Company Militia and my two heroes. He's going to be broken really fast. And then I'm going to go target Wurzag again, so just trying to take the most opportunistic targets rather than simply just focus down on Wurzag, just because I know my hero squad can take a lot of damage if I let them just sit in these Savage Orcs and Orc Boys. Over here you can see he did have to, you saw, they were engaged on these Sigmar Suns, but with the threat of the Free Company Militia he had to pull back, so kind of sacrificing essentially my Free Company Militia, but you can see I am bringing some Halberdiers over here, and I'm going to kind of pull back my Free Company Militia now that my Sigmar Suns are safe. And you can see over here the Celestial Wizard, great target, stopping these Goblin Wolf Riders from getting some rear charges over here on my troops. Now you can see I've dealt with that we've gotten rid of that Orc Shaman, so I'm going to bring my Free Company Militia over here. I see the side essentially buckling. There's a lot of Black Orcs still left over here, and I don't really have any way of dealing with them because I haven't been focusing my spells there. So I'm going to be bringing these guys over to try and get some rear shots on those Black Orcs. Luckily for me, you can see over here it's going much better for my allies. Sunmaker, finally out of ammo, up to 561. Volkmar over here, 260. So just laying down the law on these Greenskins. And you can see these Black Orcs are losing with Volkmar adding a ton of attack and melee defense to these Halberdiers, really kind of supporting this fight, and that's what he's best at. And in this mod, he has unlimited regeneration, so he's probably one of the most terrifying lords you can bring against the Greenskins, just because he does have magical damage, so he'll get past a lot of the resistances of the enemy. You can see over here these Nolan Ironsides. We'll kind of watch these guys fire off here. And they are opening fire just into the flanks. And they will do a ton of damage. Let's see how fast they can fire in normal speed. So yeah, just firing, firing, firing. Wow. They can just put down a lot of bullets. But again, a very expensive unit. He saw how he only had one, and you can see these guys instantly routing just from this volley. Oh man, so cool. But you can see over here, Knights Panther are slowly being overrun by the mass amount of goblins coming back in the fight. Skarsnik's still decently full health, but where I wonder if the Emperor Bodyguard are still over here. Yeah, they're over here with Karl Franz. These goblins are going to have no chance. Over here you can see it's going very well. Bounce power shifting in our favor. Again, Volkmar dealing with these Black Orcs. You can see over here my Sigmar Sons have kind of finally gone through. I did drop some Gehenna's Golden Hounds on these Black Orcs, and it did a ton of damage. Really saved these Free Company Militia. And now that the Halberds are in, I'll start pulling these guys back, and you can see these guys are getting ready to come over here. Halberdiers, I had to pull in to kind of support this main line, and you can see my heroes are hunting, or just Balthazar is hunting Wurzag, and he's taking a lot of damage, but here comes the captain to support him, and that'll be pretty good if we can get him off the field. You can see Terrified, because in this mod, Balthazar Gelt at least does cause terror only when he's casting, so you can see how that works there. Definitely to my favor. When I was casting over here, I think I'm casting a Searing Doom. Just trying to target where I'm weakest, where I'm losing. But you can see my Sigmar Sons over here just tanked out that entire, like, essentially line of infantry. 182 kills. Definitely worth it. And you can see Grimgor over here is lining himself up for these Free Company Militia to open fire, really do some damage. And you can see over here Boris, Empire Captain, doing what they need to do. Basically cleaned up this side. Volkmar in the middle, still very healthy. But you can see over here the fight is definitely still raging. Because Middenland had to send some of his Knights Panther over there, a huge investment. We weren't quite able to just take on our two Greenskin troops. But you can see here, Grimgor is going to get a face full of lead, but take like no damage. So that is definitely not good. You can see my Free Company Militia are coming in, doing some good damage, especially for a 450 gold unit. Here you can see my captain's going to get in here, try and distract him as my Free Company Militia line up a crossfire of armor-piercing damage on this guy. Hoping, but I don't want my Emperor Captain to fight him for long because he will definitely lose. And I think I'm going to be sending Balthazar Gelt after Wurzag, trying to keep him off the field. But you can see, nice job, Halberdiers here. Tattersouls, God, just holding out for so long. And you can see these Black Orcs slowly dealing with these Knights Panther. So now you can see the trap is kind of set. I've got Free Company Militia firing in from both sides. And so Grimgor is definitely not going to pay for himself fighting against such cheap units, especially armor-piercing cheap units, that really can't miss him. We'll see if he has any missile resistance. Yeah, so 15, so not the best. But I am putting down some nice damage there. Sunmaker trying to finish off the rest of these things. And yeah, you can see it's really only this player over here. You can see that Black Orc getting surrounded. You can see there, not the best play on my part. This Free Company Militia keep having to reposition. But now you can see Grimgor. Thank you, Balthazar Geld. Curse the Midnight Wind coming down from my ally, helping out this like blob, very much so. And now you can see my Free Company Militia. These firing lines are just devastating to the Greenskins, especially with that captain shooting him in the back. Curse of the Midnight Wind countering Wah, essentially. Not that he's ever going to miss these guys, but just look how fast he goes down to that just withering gunfire, and he is broken. You can see him. He's going to run from the Empire Captain and the Free Company Militia. You can see as my captain takes off. Oh man, you can see over here some Black Orcs still alive, so I'm moving Balthazar Gelt. 71 kills, but definitely did a lot of damage. You can watch these hounds come up here as the Knights Panther charge in the rear. Yeah, so they're just going to rout there. Dropping Searing Doom on him, trying to finish off this battle. And yeah, essentially it's done. The Empire is held against the Greenskin Horde. All of the Empire united. And man, that was a close one. Those Sigmar Suns definitely clutch. Tattersouls over here, holding off just a ton of units. There you can see Grimgor does get killed by the Empire Captain. The Sunmaker with those almost 600 kills on those goblins. What does Carl have? 102. So definitely slaying some Greenskins with Galmaraz. You can see here, really these two unbreakable units held the line very well. I'm almost surprised Balthazar didn't get more kills, but definitely did a lot of damage to some key units like Black Orcs and stuff like that. Halberdiers doing okay, and Swordsmen really just holding the line. Sigmar Disciples holding the line as well, and these guys helping to twist that frontline engagement in my favor, and executing Grimgor at the end was pretty cool. So Jack here, you can see Volkmar, 432 kills. His Sunmaker did not do quite as well. Probably not firing at goblins, firing at Savage Orcs. Over here you can see these Knights Panther, definitely the most cavalry. None of us brought any cavalry except for him. So definitely a nice support role here, and that Celestial Wizard dropping those debuffs, and Boris hunting heroes and important units on that far left side. Definitely swung that in our favor. And then these Spearmen, MVPs, kind of just holding the line. Huntsman, even doing okay. Venris here, you can see his Sunmaker getting almost 600 kills. Karl Franz, Emperor's Bodyguard, and you can see the Nolan Ironsides did a ton of damage. We'll hop over here. Yeah, you can see one of these Black Orcs doing very well. The other one not quite so much. The big one's doing okay. Kind of would expect them to do more. Azag, not able to really do anything. He was really fighting the Lords most of the time. You can see a lot of these goblins died. Don't really have the best stats, and being deployed up there, I definitely like to bring some Goblin Big Bosses to keep encouragement arrows on all of my troops. It definitely helps to keep them in line. And you saw just what a couple of, like a Hammer of Gork and a Rocklobber would have made this so much more terrifying, because he would have been able to target that old Ironsides and those Emperor's Bodyguard from far away and really make them not pay. Because just a cup, like a boulder or two, can really just take out the unit. Over here you can see Black Orcs doing okay. These Orc boys getting a decent amount of kills. I think mostly on Swordsmen and Tattersouls. Goblin Archers just dealing with those cav. Definitely thanks to Fury of Owls for having me not have to deal with that, because he could have just firing lined my Tattersouls from afar without engaging them and made them far less cost effective over on that side, without the threat of the Knights Panther. Over here we can go to Bryce. You can see Savage Orcs doing very well. Just not quite able to get the job done. You can see these Savage Orc biggins definitely did not pay for themselves. with those just 26 and 28 kills. I'm not sure what killed them, but you can see Wurzag racking up a decent amount, especially with that Foot of Gork on my main line. Anyways, great game to everybody in this. Jack, Fury Valves, Venris, Quecko, Death Node, Marshall Gray, and Bryce. Hopefully you'll see some more of these huge battles in the future. We played another one that was really fun. Beastmen versus Greenskins matchup. But I crashed like halfway through. It was very, very sad. So I was not able to get the replay on that one. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, guys, and that's that.